Hello all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hi, this is Madhura, artist behind Madhura's Floral Diary. In today's YouTube video, we'll be painting a beautiful sunflower together. So I'm using 300 GSM 100% cotton watercolor paper. Then I'll be using size 8 of the brush. This is silver black velvet brush. Then for the colors, I'll be using warm yellow, then some browns and greens. I'll be just taking out orange color as to mix it in my warm yellow. Now we'll start with some strokes. Just observe the angle of my brush. I'll be applying maximum pressure and swiftly reduce the pressure, making a thin line. I'll be doing it once again, maximum pressure, swiftly reduce the pressure and make a thin line. Just try to practice it in different directions. You can increase the thickness of the stroke with a double or mirrored stroke. Try to practice again it in every direction. Now we'll be using two techniques, wet on wet technique and wet on dry technique, to paint the sunflower. The first technique is wet on wet and the other one is wet on dry. Now I'll be using warm yellow in first layer, then I'll add a bit of orange for the second layer, then brown for the third layer, and I'll be using green for the leaves. So what you have to do is you just have to mark the center circle of the flower with pencil. It's just a guideline, so make sure it's very light. You can use your brush and the yellow color to just mark the dots. I'm using pencil over here. Now I'll be using the 8 size brush and the strokes that we learned to paint the petals. Now I'll be using warm yellow. Start with no pressure, then apply pressure and swiftly move the brush with again no pressure. I'll be following the same technique to paint my layer 1. Also I'm using moderate consistency of paint, that is not of much dark and or much light. You can just change the heights of the petals or the thicknesses of the petals to add interest in your composition. Once you are done with the base layer, that is the yellow layer, try to add a bit of orange into your base yellow and start painting second layer. Once you are done with layer 2, add little amount of brown in your yellow and start painting the third layer. Whenever you are mixing orange or the brown with yellow, make sure your dominant color should be yellow, not orange or the brown. Then we'll be using wet on wet technique to paint the center of the flower. So what I am doing is I am just wetting the center of the flower with clean and clear water. Once done, I am just adding a watery consistency of yellow in the center, and then I'll just take out pigmented consistency of the brown and drop in the color in the center. Make sure you are just dropping in the color and not rubbing it. That's the wet on wet technique. Just observe how the fuzzy texture is there with wet on wet technique. Now I'll be adding a bit of yellow and then I'll be painting the outer side of the circle with wet on dry technique and dots of pigmented brown color. And yes, we are done with the sunflower. So basically we use two techniques, wet on wet and wet on dry, to paint this flower. If you are someone who just wanted to learn how to paint this sunflower in detail, we have something for you. We'll be having a workshop where we'll be painting the sunflower composition from the scratch. So we'll be starting with introduction to watercolors followed by brush controlling exercises, then some watercolor techniques, strokes to paint this sunflower. So I really hope to see you in the session. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.